I don't want to do this workout. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck. But that means I have to do it. I have to be uncomfortable because what it's going to do is make me better at the stuff I don't like or the stuff I fear. But it's also going to make me better at the stuff that I do like and that I am good at. If you feel like you shouldn't be doing this or you don't want to do this, then that's the thing that you have to do. It's like, oh, okay, this is scary. It's going to make me uncomfortable. But you know what? I'm going to do it and I'm going to be better for it in some way.
Welcome to Stronger You Radio with Mike Dola. Join Mike and friends as they discuss issues to keep you healthy, fit, and on track to create a stronger you. Let's listen in now.
What's up, Stronger You fam? Welcome back to another edition of Stronger You Radio. I am your host, Tanner Bays. Today I don't have Mike joining me. I've kicked him off. I was just a little tired of having Mike on the radio with me. Mike, if you're listening, I'm kidding. But I am proud today because we're bringing on Jodi Burchill, who is one of our OG coaches who has not been on this podcast yet. So, Jodi, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
I can't complain. How about yourself?
Good, pretty awesome.
Jodi, clearly to a bunch of people in the SU community, you are not a new name or a new face.
What kind of name?
Oh, kind of. You're right. Congrats, by the way. That's right. Jodi was married, 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
3 weeks tomorrow. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, she's about to celebrate her 1 year or her 3-week anniversary, and this is how we're celebrating. We're doing a podcast together. So, Jodi, how long have you been with Stronger You?
I have been with Stronger You for over 3 years. So I started very first day, March 31st, 2017.
So for all of you listening at home, what I would like you to understand is that we're correcting a very serious flaw on this podcast because Jodi has been around for forever and she's never been on the show. So that's a serious oversight on our part, and we're taking care of it today.
Or I did such a good job at flying under the radar.
That also true.
Yeah.
Also true. But really, you have been around for a long time, and I can even remember whenever I first got hired. I think I was hired 6 to 7 months after you were. Mm-hmm. Even at that point, people knew you as this organizational monster who just took care of so many people and did the best job in the world at it. So, and it doesn't seem like that's changed.
Well, I do love people and I do love organizing stuff. So,
well, so I do want to kind of talk about that because internally, what people might not know is that we all do kind of view Jodi as time management wizard, organizational wizard. The girl has her day taken care of down to the minute, it feels like. And is that something you talk about with your members at all? Do you all get into that at all?
It's yes and no. It's not something that comes up a lot. I shouldn't say that. It kind of does. But more in terms of when they're busy, how they can, set up their food to get them set up for the week. So, I see a lot of people, they're busy moms and dads and, they're working full time and they're running all over the place, taking kids here and there. And they're I don't have time to breathe. I don't have time to, prepare and cook all of my meals. So, that's when I'll come in and usually with some kind of strategy for them. It's more about setting themselves up for down the road versus time management type stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, it's that sort of planning, set yourself up to be successful down the road. That's such a major piece of what we do, right? It's so funny when people show up to Stronger You and to work with us. It's they have this idea that all right, I'm going to be told what to eat and I'm going to be told when to eat it. And it's within a few weeks, I think most people are a little shocked at how much we talk about the things that are so far outside of food, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I talk about that with my people a lot too. It's it amazes me. They come in here looking for help with food. And of course they get that, but then it's their eyes are open to so many other things, like so many internal, habits and, feelings and thoughts and all this stuff that they're like, wow, there's so much more to this than just food.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a little jarring to people at first, right? Like it's, it kind of like starts to uncover some stuff that like maybe they weren't ready to deal with, or that they just weren't even aware was there. Yeah. And like, because food is never really just food, right? Like it goes so far beyond that. And, I think that's like what good coaching winds up being, is like this willingness to kind of like dig into that, but also know where our boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me this, like you've been around for 3 years, if not more, and you have coached a lot of folks and helped a whole lot of people. And as a coach, I would genuinely be curious to know, like, are there ways in which like your coaching has evolved over these past 3 years? Like that you catch yourself noticing it all?
Absolutely. I mean, it has changed. And in a lot of subtle ways too over time. But I mean, the more you work with people, the more you learn, like the more you dig in and see like the emotional side of things and, what people are going through. So I learn every single day. I learn something new every single day from these people, and just based on the stuff that they're telling, that they're coming to me with, and I can use that moving forward. So I'll take things from people that I've learned from them and help other people with it too. But in terms of anything specific, I can't think of like details like that. But
I don't think that's like, and now I certainly wasn't looking for anything super specific there, but like, it's, it is interesting, like just the more you work with people, the more you inevitably learn about people, right? And like it's like somebody might have this one particular struggle that you have to try and help them try and navigate and work through. And without even recognizing it, like that carries over to so many different people that you're also working with, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that I have learned and that I'm more aware of now is that I'm just me. So, when I send my emails to people, I'm like, I'm just going to type it like they were sitting in front of me. We were having a conversation, and it's going to come off as goofy and silly sometimes. I throw in my woot woots when they do a good job, and everyone does something good, and that's so important to me to see that and highlight that. So I make sure that every email we're finding, like, there's always something to be proud of in that week, and we can always find something. So that's something that I really, over the years, have started to pay more and more attention to, because I think that's really, really important.
I love everything about what you just said, because like I think that sometimes as coaches, we allow ourselves to get really caught up in this idea that like you have come to me for help, and like you view me as a leader in this situation. So I need to be serious, and I need to be like on point, and we need to like, you need to have a very clearly defined plan. And this might mean I come across as a little bit of a hard ass, right? And that's not actually the case. Like that's not what good coaching tends to look like at all.
No. And I mean, you can be constructive and offer feedback and, ideas and stuff like that. But for me, I just, it's, I don't know what the right word is, but it can be emotional too, because we hear so much in the run of the day, and, want to be empathetic and not take it all in myself.
Yeah.
So you address that situation, but then you focus on the good stuff, the positive stuff. And, my goal in every check-in is I want to make somebody smile. So I find that.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I think it's right. I think it's fair to say that you do a pretty damn good job of that.
You gotta have fun, it's so easy. And I mean, I've been known in the past, and this is just years of evolving and changing over time. I mean, I'm 41, 20 Jodi and 41 Jodi are very, very different. And what I've learned is that we need to focus on the good things in life. There's so much to be down about and negative about. But we can't dwell on those things. We need to acknowledge them, but we need to focus and find the positives. Everything is so much better when we do that.
Yeah, no, look, I wholeheartedly am in agreement with you there, because, and especially like in the job that we do as coaches, right? Because, like, let's be real, this whole thing is hard. Like if you have like a serious weight loss goal or performance goal or anything like that, and you're like really working at controlling your food intake, and you're reporting this stuff to somebody on a weekly basis, like, we all hit this point where we're like, I'm doing all this work and like I would just expect more sooner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like, and it's like that's our job, right? Is to be like, okay, let's press pause. Because like I get it. I so get where you're coming from. But why don't we evaluate all of the good things that have already happened here?
Yeah. It's so easy to get lost in what we're trying to accomplish that we forget all of the great stuff that we've done so far, like all of the great changes that have evolved over time. And it's fun to be able to go back when people are frustrated with it, and it's like highlighting, remember when, and now look at these changes that you're making. And even though you're not quite yet where you want to be, you're still on that track.
Right.
You're still working your way towards that. So we need to be thankful and excited about where we are now, and then still be excited about what we're working to accomplish moving forward.
And I think like one of the really important points to highlight in those situations too is that like you kind of have to be accepting of the fact that like if you have this point that you want to reach and you believe that like getting there is going to, like, I will be happy then, I will be good, like that's not the reality. That's not how it's going to go ever.
No. We have these big visions, and then we get there and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be more than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and even more reason to enjoy the process along the way. And, and our goals are going to change over time. We're constantly evolving in everything that we do, whether it's weight loss or careers or anything in life, our training, you get there, but then you're never truly satisfied, because a lot of us, it's like, oh, well, now I want more.
Right. No, the goalposts are constantly shifting, right? Like the goalposts are always moving along, and like they never stop, right? Like they never stop. And like, that's not an indictment on you or any of our members or anything like that. That's like a fundamental human reality.
Exactly.
Like we make X amount of dollars. We think we're going to be super happy then. Now all of a sudden we want more.
Yeah.
We like see 2 abs and we're like, I'd like 4 abs. And then actually I want all 6. Give me the 6-pack, right? And then what's left?
Yeah. And then you get there and you're like, okay, well that's cool, but now what?
Right.
And really it's like, and maybe this is off track a little bit, but you get these goals and then you kind of start, getting close and nearing them. And then you're like, okay, the effort and the work that I have to put in right now and the sacrifices I have to make for that next piece. Okay, I either have to really hunker down and settle in, or I need to reevaluate a little bit.
It requires like a very serious evaluation of how much work am I legitimately willing to put in here? Like, is the reward or the final destination, whatever we want to call it, is that worth all of this extra work? Because at a certain point, right, like if you're dedicated to your training and you're dedicated to your nutrition, and this is like a very serious part of your lifestyle, you do hit a point of like diminishing returns where if you want to squeeze more out of it, the amount of effort that you have to put in is so much greater than it used to be. Yeah. And a lot of us can't manage that, and that's okay. Like that's a fine thing.
Yeah, like, and I'll talk about this with my members. Like I'm a prime example of that. There was a time when I was a little bit leaner, I was eating more, and I was stronger. And then my life evolved, my life changed. And for me to get back to either that strength or just to be that 2% leaner,
Yeah.
not worth it. Like I found a balance. It's like having, more defined abs versus having a little bit less isn't worth, the extra work and sacrifice. I found a spot, you find a cozy spot, and you just kind of coast along. You have fun in the gym. You're not worried about setting PRs and setting records. I'm not a competitive lifter anymore. But I still want to be healthy and be, strong and relatively lean. But you find those trade-off points.
Yeah, and like you want all of those things, but like in a way that just kind of allows you to like go about your life in a more enjoyable way, right?
Yeah. I put in a lot of hard years to get where I am now. I put in a lot of work. It was sacrifice, but what I talk to this about my people, like, and that's what I all the time. They're like, I want it now. It's like this takes time. Mm-hmm. We're not going to change our mindset, how we think about food, our habits. We're not going to change that even in a matter of a couple of years. Like it takes, I made a lot of sacrifices for probably 8-10 years. And now I can just coast along and it's fun and I'm happy. And I look back and I think, thank God I did that. Because, a few years of sacrifice, and it was not horrible. I had goals. I really wanted to achieve them. So I did it. And now I'm in a place where I can, go the next 30, 40 years and maintain it kind of easy.
Right.
But we can't do that without putting in the time and the work first.
Well, okay. I love where you just took this because I think it is such an important point for every member we have to internalize that, like, inevitably we want everyone to get to a point where, like, we want to coach ourselves out of a job with you, right? Like, we really do mean that whenever we say that, like, we don't want you to feel like you need us 6 years down the road. Like, we want you to feel like you have laid the groundwork to maintain this and to live your life and to do the thing. But what has to be understood is that in order to get to that point, you have to do what you just said. Like, there has to be a period of time in your life, and it doesn't have to be 8 to 10 years or anything. No. But there has to be a dedicated period of time where you're like, this is what I'm working at.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I am doing now.
Yeah. And it could be a few months to get to where you want to be. It could be, now me, it took that long only because I was a competitive lifter and I was training, like I had my in seasons and off seasons and all that stuff. So, it was a little bit different, but, you still, whether it's 6 months or a year or 2 years, it's going to vary from person to person, lifestyle, environment, strategies, goals, like all that stuff. But when you get there, it's worth it. It's worth every minute. And I can say that because I've been there.
Right.
Right.
And,
I look back and I think, I'll never get that time back. The time is going to pass no matter what. Am I doing now the stuff I need to do that's going to set me up to be comfortable and happy and live my best life down the road? I can still live my best life right now, maybe a little bit uncomfortable to get to where I want to be, but down the road, it's like, yes, this is what I worked for.
So, okay, touching on that point, because this is something we talked about whenever we were setting this podcast up, is like the idea of being comfortable with getting uncomfortable. And like that is clearly something that is like very important to you and like a way in which you go about your life.
Yeah.
Right. And I would imagine this is something like that's a continued conversation you have with members as well.
Yep.
Like it's one of those things that I guess like it's like simple but not easy.
No. And I mean, for me, it's a struggle still. Like I don't like to be uncomfortable. And I've been like that my whole life. And kind of the turning point for me years ago was like, and I can't remember the specific instance, but I remember in my training, and it was like, if I don't want to do this, it's probably the thing that I should be doing the most and the thing that's going to benefit me the most. So I don't want to do this workout. It's going to hurt and it's going to suck. But that means I have to do it. I have to be uncomfortable because what it's going to do is make me better at the stuff I don't like or the stuff I fear. But it's also going to make me better at the stuff that I do like and that I am good at. So it's like this, so now I had someone say that to me once years ago. And it's like, if you feel like you shouldn't be doing this or you don't want to do this, then that's the thing that you have to do. And that stuck with me. And so even now it's like, oh, okay, this is scary. It's going to make me uncomfortable, but you know what? I'm going to do it and I'm going to be better for it in some way.
So it's like a continued process of tricking yourself.
Yeah. And I still do it to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I love that you said that because I would imagine most people listening to this or most of the members that you work with would assume you're at a place where you don't need to trick yourself like that anymore. I
wish.
Yeah, but
it's always going to be that way. There's always going to be something.
Right. Like you're always running into those things that you just don't want to do, but you need to.
Yeah, like every day, even like the simple little things. Like, every night I'm very structured and routine and I eat pretty much the same thing every day, and I have my food and I have my special snacks and I look forward to my evening snack every day. I look forward to it. Same food every day for years. Neil makes fun of me. He's like, I don't know how you can eat the same thing and still look forward to it every single day for like 2 years. And then I'll finish it and I'll be like, oh man, I want more. I'm just going to go have like 2 more veggie straws, just 2. And then I'm like, no, bring it back. It's going to feel good right now, but I'm going to regret it later.
Okay. In the past, was it a challenge? Like, did you have times in your past where you really gave in to that feeling of wanting more?
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And sometimes I do now, but it's well thought out. Like I'm just at a point now after years, I don't really do anything spontaneously, and I should do more. And I do some, because I think being spontaneous in some ways I think it's really important. I think we can't be super rigid and super structured all the time.
Right.
But with food, I'll think about it because I can eat a lot. Like I have a huge appetite. I can out-eat Neil any day of the week. But I choose not to because I know it's not going to do me any favors. But sometimes I will. I'll be like, you know what? I'm here. I'm at my aunt's. My members have heard me talk about my aunt's apple pie. I don't even like apple pie. But hers, I'm telling you, this pie, I go wild over it. She just has the perfect crust and the perfect sugar to apple ratio. Mm-hmm. So the once or twice a year when I get that pie, I could be stuffed to the brim. If there's a piece left, I'm eating it.
Right.
But I'll think about it first because sometimes it'll be worth it and sometimes it just won't be. And sometimes it won't be and I'll regret it and I'll be like, crap. But I'll remember it for next time. Be like, remember that time you ate that extra and you're like, oh man, I wish I hadn't done that. I don't like to waste calories, I guess is how I look at it.
Well, no, it's like seriously, there are a million things here that I wish I could just dive into different paths. Really, but I think the thing that I'm most interested in is how long do you feel like it took you to get to a point to where you could confidently kind of check that impulse with yourself?
It was, I think for me, once I made the decision to do it, I did it. However, that said, I contemplated making that decision for a long time.
Ooh, okay.
Right? So it's like, I kind of want to do this, but I kind of don't. I know it would be really, really cool, but you know what? I'm not quite ready yet. to make those sacrifices. But once I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it, I do it. But for something like that, like even right now, like it goes around your head, oh, maybe I do want to tighten up my food a little bit, just be a little leaner for the summer or whatever. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to think about it another week. And I've been doing that for 2 years and I haven't decided to do it. But if I do, then I'm all in.
Got you. Yeah. So there's like, there might be like a lot of contemplation about like what it is that you're going to do or like what you might want to focus on or whatever. Yeah. And what it sounds like is you don't put like a deadline on yourself to make that choice either. You're happy to kind of sit with that for as long as it needs to be, right? Yeah.
Now, when, you know, back in the day, like if I was unhealthy or uncomfortable or just wasn't feeling energetic, then I would just be like, okay, I'm in, I got to go because I don't feel good. Or if I had to make weight for competition, I knew when I had to start thinking about that process, you know, months before, that kind of thing. But for a lot of things, it's like I'm healthy, I'm active. I don't have to put a deadline or a timeline on it. And especially something as, you know, big as lifelong habit changes. I don't feel the need in rushing it, you know, because we have so many members that come in and they're just like, I want to lose this weight really, really fast. Like, let's speed this up. Can we drop back? Can we speed this up? And it's like, well, yeah, we can. But what are we in a hurry for? Like, would you rather slow down a little bit, still make some really good progress, slow down a little bit, and then absorb the process, learn as much as you can, and have those habits more deeply ingrained so that you can keep them moving forward rather than rushing the weight loss and then kind of like, okay, now what? And then having
you're so spot on here. And like, it's funny, you know, like I think a lot of us who have coached for any length of time and like have been exposed to a pretty decent amount of people, you learn a lot, right? Like you inevitably learn a lot about human behavior and how people react and interact with things. And I think we all kind of wind up like having the same insights, just like we define them differently or we give them different terms. And like this thought that I have had, it's really like I've carried it around with me for the past 5 to 6 months, is that like I think one of the ways we get ourselves into trouble is we put false deadlines on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I think that like we all manage without even consciously thinking about it. We impose this like hard stop on whatever it is that we're working on or focusing on. And we tell ourselves that like, okay, I have to get all of everything that I want done before this point hits, because after this point, I can't work on this stuff anymore. And it's like, that is the backwards way to approach it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like people, they're like, okay, I need to lose this weight by this date because, you know, there's a wedding or a vacation. And it's like, okay, I like having that little goal in there. Let's think of it as kind of like a soft goal, something to work towards, but then also something to keep building on afterwards, right? Because we don't want these hard cutoffs. And it's like, if you don't get there, what happens? You know, we don't want to be hard on ourselves. We want to learn from all the decisions we made leading up to it and then keep going. And that's the thing that people kind of don't always think about, is those little things that they're doing every day that have to continue beyond that hard date that you set for yourself. Because all anyone wants is to backslide and go back to where they were. So all those little things, the hard work you're doing now, a lot of those, you know, it's not going to be hard, but honestly, it's never easy. Like you always have to be thoughtful about food. Always. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey. Even now, 2-3 years down the road, I haven't tracked much of anything in a while. I'll go on and off, but the little things that I do every single day, they have to continue. I have to keep thinking about what I'm taking in, because if I forget, I'm just like anyone else. I'm going to go back to eating cinnamon buns all day, and then I'm not going to feel
Sounds good.
Yeah, I love my cinnamon buns, but
yeah. No, go ahead. I was going to talk about cinnamon buns.
But yeah, so I mean, those little things, and it's funny because it's the small things that seem so insignificant that matter.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it, it's okay. I'm not going to have those extra 2 chips that I really, really want right now. Just 2. No, I'm not going to do it, because that little habit is helping me for the next day. I don't want to floss my teeth every single night before bed, but I do it because I want to go to the dentist and have the best teeth and less cleaning and a smaller bill.
Yeah.
So I'm going to floss my teeth every single night, So,
yeah. Well, it's like we are a collection of our behaviors, right? And whenever if we think about that, most of us tend to think about like the big behaviors. Like, do I get up and go to work every day? Do I take care of my bills or whatever, right? But like, that's not actually what we mean. What we mean is exactly what you just said, that like, you're a collection of the tiny little bitty things, the little bitty rocks that fill out your day, because whether you recognize it or not, like, those are the things that build you into the healthy person you hope to become. Exactly. But more than that, like, they don't stop when you have become a healthy person. Like being healthy requires maintaining it. And like, just like we got to take a car to get an oil changed and tires rotated and all that, like, you've got to do maintenance work on your body and yourself every day if you're serious about this.
Yeah. And it doesn't stop. Like, it's every day forever. And, you get into a routine after a while, and it doesn't seem like it's like this hard, overwhelming thing. But it's still something you have to think about and you have to keep doing. Because even now there are days I'm like, oh, man, I really, really just want to go eat an entire pizza.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, do I really?
Right.
And I'm like, someday I'm going to want to. And that's the day I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it right now just because the kids are eating pizza tonight. I'll wait till that moment where it's like, you know what? I've been thinking about pizza for the past 3 weeks, or for me, probably 3 months. And then I'm like, okay, that's it. Today's the day. I'm going out. I'm going to get my favorite pizza tonight. But I'm not going to sacrifice, I'm not going to have that pizza. That's not even good pizza. It's not my favorite pizza.
Right.
But so you still think about that down the road. You still have these pulls, to go and eat all the pizza or whatever it is. But we still have to keep those habits, the things that we've learned, in check, keep them in mind, be thoughtful about them, and understand when it makes sense to go and when it doesn't.
So I think you've mentioned a few of them already, but like, I am genuinely curious to know, like, what are some of like the day-to-day practices that you feel like are non-negotiables for you, that you have to follow?
And I do that. I have hard rules set for myself.
Even better. Cool.
Yeah, and so like, for me, I have my day Monday to Friday, and it's like bam, bam, bam. It's structured. I get up every morning. The alarm goes off at 6. Sometimes I'll allow myself to hit snooze twice. But I'm always up within that 20 minutes.
Okay.
In the shower, I come down, I get my coffee, and I sit in my little reading nook, and I read a book. And this book is something that's going to help me be a better coach. So it could be about, and my members have heard me talk about this book nonstop for the past 3 weeks, but Chasing Cupcakes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, fabulous book. Like, just It doesn't matter who you are. There's something in that book, and you're like, did she write that for me?
Right.
But it'll be something along the lines, either nutrition related or exercise related or just emotional related, like stuff like mindset stuff on how to evolve and grow. That's non-negotiable. That time happens every morning. Doesn't matter if I don't feel like reading or the day feels too busy. I go in and I sit in that chair with my coffee and I read for a minimum of 10 minutes. Doesn't have to be an hour. but a minimum of 10 minutes.
I love that.
Yeah. And if I a couple minutes more, I will. If I don't, that's okay. I come into my office and I get to work.
I love that. Not just because I love reading and I love books and I've always been that way, but like the 10-minute mark, that's so doable.
Yeah.
That is so, any of us can do anything for 10 minutes, right? Like we can grit our way through it. But like the important point is like you're touching that every day. You're showing up there every single day.
Yep. And then, I'm pretty rigid with my schedule. Like if people, appointments, phone calls, anything like that, I have set times when I can do that. And I'll make sure that all that happens in that time. And if it doesn't, I say no. I have to do that because that's what keeps me on track, keeps me at my best.
Yeah.
And my noontime walk with Randall, it's 20 minutes of no phone, nothing, me and him together outside. Non-negotiable. Randall and I do our walks together every day. And it's stuff like that just, and dinner with the family, 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whenever we eat dinner, we all sit together at the kitchen table, non-negotiable, and we have dinner together with no phones. And we laugh and enjoy each other for that time.
Yeah, you are speaking to my soul right now. No, really, because I can so relate to like the hard boundaries, and not just like as far as your appointments go. Like if I'm not going to get it done in this block of time that I allow myself to get this stuff done, okay, fine, I will do that tomorrow. But I am not going to sacrifice my well-being or my time today to get that done. Because like, Mike, I hope you're not listening, but like at the end of the day, it's like, this is just work. Like this is just work.
Yeah.
Right.
And as much as we love it,
right,
want to do it, it's still just work. And to be fair, and I say this, and we all say this as coaches, if you want to give other people your best, you have to make that time for yourself. You have to do those things for you that leave you feeling good. If I don't get that time with Randall, if I don't get my reading time, if I don't get time with my family and just hanging out and laughing, I'm not my best. I'm going to feel tired and worn out and cranky, and then everyone suffers.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's like there's this constant, like if we have a cup, if we are a cup and our ability to like be our very best is represented by how full that cup is. Like the day and the week is this constant back and forth of like pouring out of that cup and filling that cup back up. And I think those of us who manage to like find a sustainable way to go about our day and our week and to show up as our very best, what we've really done is like found a way to be sure that we fill our cup back up as often as we can.
Yeah, and people, and one of the books that we read in the coaches book club, Essentialism, I'm looking at it. I keep it right here on my bookshelf.
Yeah.
Saying no to people, it's scary at the start because you don't want to upset anyone, right? But we have to. So one of the things it talked about in that book was, what are your absolute top 2 priorities in life? Yeah, it's hard to narrow it down to 2, but do it. And then everything that you're saying yes to, is it bringing value to those 2 things? And if it's not, why are you doing them? Yes, when you start saying no to people, at first they're going to be a little bit upset, but they're going to get over it, right?
Right.
And the other thing is too, when you do that, the respect that you gain from that, people start to respect your time. They respect you more. And you're just better and happier because the stuff that you're doing actually provides value to the things that mean the most to you.
No, that's exactly it, right? Like I still remember a quote from that book where he mentions like, you can move 1,000,000 miles in one direction, or you can move an inch in 1,000,000 directions. And it's like, I don't know why that one is lodged in my brain, but it's like I constantly come back to that because it's like, where am I spending my time? And is this like a high return on investment activity? And it doesn't have to be like a high ROI work activity or whatever. Like it could simply be like so similar to you, I have like very serious non-negotiables about like every single day I walk Bowser, and that is like a no phone, no distraction time. That is like I am purposefully leaving the world behind, the internet world behind, so I can go be out in the real world.
Yeah.
And like it's like that is something I won't give any leeway on because it's important to me, and it allows me to be at my very, very best and ensure that I show up as my best self for the people who come to us for guidance and for help. Because if we're not, right, like we're not actually treating this role with the respect that it deserves.
Yeah. And I want to be my best for these people. Like they're here for a reason, and they're here and they deserve to have the best of me. So by taking care of me and doing the things like the dog walks, the reading in the morning, shutting things off and having the family time, or, you know, whatever it is important, you know, we all have different things that mean the most to us, but, you know, it's important that we do them so that we can be our best for, you know, the people that we're working with every day.
And that's applicable to the members as well, right? Because it's like, you know, how many conversations have you had with a member that's a mom or a dad that is like, I have no time and I want to be healthier and I want to be fitter and I want to lose this weight, but like I just can't because I feel selfish and I am like taking time away that I could spend with my kids or my spouse or whomever, right? And it's like, I get it. I get where that thought process comes from. And I'm not going to pretend to know what it's like to raise a child. So understand that, like, I'm not saying I empathize with that struggle, but what I am saying is that, like, let's take a step back and recognize that, like, you do have a responsibility to those people to be your very best.
Yeah.
And
by example.
Yeah.
Like, I see these parents and I think, look at what your kids are seeing. They're seeing you tired. They're seeing you worn out. They're seeing you exhausted and not happy all the time and no energy. It's like, and is that what you want for your kids? Because that's what the kids are learning, right?
Oh yeah.
And,
yeah.
And I can see that now because, I mean, I don't have kids either, but I now have 3 stepkids.
Right.
And my husband, we talk about this stuff, and I see him as a dad, and even their mom, she's fabulous. And they talk about it, and he's like, and him as a dad, he's an amazing dad. He's very involved with his kids. He's there for everything, but he also understands too that he's got to take care of himself.
Right.
And if you give your all to the kids, you're teaching that to the kids, and then someday you're going to watch your kids doing the same thing, and you're going to be like, "Oh no, I wish they would just slow down and take care of themselves."
Man, I don't know about you, but I sure didn't expect us to get this real today.
I know. I don't know where I thought it was going to go, but it's one of those things I'm really passionate about.
No, and it shows. It clearly shows, and I think there's very good reason to be passionate about it because, you know, it's like these sorts of ideas about like showing up as your very best self and like having to prioritize your self-care, like it's not new, right? Like none of it is new. We all get it. But what I think a lot of us don't understand is like just how weighty that thought really is. Like how, like if you internalize the thought of like, I need to prioritize taking care of myself so that I can be my very best, and you start viewing everything through that lens, like whether you like it or not, like everything changes about your life.
Yeah.
Every decision you make changes dramatically.
Yeah.
And like, there's no way around that, you know?
No.
So, are there any other thoughts about like dealing with the idea of being comfortable with the uncomfortable that you feel like people really, really need to try and internalize or work on that you see in your own practice with members?
I just find that it's a hard question for me.
Yeah.
But I think it's get comfortable saying no sometimes. It's okay to say no. And it's okay if people are a little bit upset for a few minutes because you're not hurting them. You're not ruining your reputation, or you're not a lesser person because you said, no, I can't bake 24 cookies for the bake sale. I'm sorry, I can't do that. It's okay to say no to those things because you have something else that you need to do that's going to bring more value to you or your family or whatever it is. Get comfortable saying no sometimes. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. And it's okay to be selfish. I'll tell you, it's okay to be a little bit selfish. It really is. You're not taking away from anyone because you're being a little bit selfish.
Well, I think what it is like you're holding yourself to a standard, right? Like you are, and like there's a very that's a powerful idea to like really think about for a moment, is that like I have a standard for myself in the way that I show up in the world, and that I am there for the people that matter to me. And anything that potentially takes away from that standard, then it's just out. Like I say no, because that is not me. That doesn't fit with the vision that I have for myself and for my life.
No. Yeah.
Whew.
Oh, we're deep. We are so deep.
Jodi, I tell you,
What did Jodi get all deep?
No, this was awesome. It was so awesome. Like I said, I don't think either one of us expected for us to get this deep, but like I think that's what the beauty of having this kind of forum is like we can be a couple of coaches that talk about coaching, and inevitably something pops up there that we're like, oh man, this is important. We need to spend some time on this.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing that all coaches see, and we're constantly talking about it. You got to take care of you, and you have to be number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can't ever stop.
No. It's like putting your own mask on the airplane before you put it on the kids. It's better for everybody. There's a reason why we do that. Right.
Like it's not being selfish. It's allowing you to take care of the people that are closest to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, listen, Jodi, this has been wonderful. Thank you for coming on here. I sincerely, I really do appreciate it.
It's been really, really fun. And so I guess I'm not getting away with it anymore.
No, you are on the show, and clearly, like we have to do this again. We
you know what? This was really, really fun. I didn't know what to expect, and of course, this is me stepping out of my comfort zone and me getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And oftentimes, what we find when we do that is it ends up being kind of fun.
Right.
So, yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was great.
Excellent. Well, hey, SUers, keep your ears peeled. I really hope you enjoyed this one. There's a lot of takeaways. So if you haven't, rewind it and pull out your notebook. You need to take notes here. Awesome. Jodi, this is great. Thank you.
Thank you. This was super fun.
Stronger You Radio is a broadcast wellness production powered by StrongerYouFit.com. Content copyright Stronger You. Executive producer Frank Sardella. Thanks for listening to Stronger You Radio. For more information on the podcast, visit StrongerYouPodcast.com.